What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Tyzilla83, and I just want to say, before we get into this video, we're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn, but before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the content. If you would, at the end, like, comment, share the content that you're watching, however, wherever, and of course, if you haven't already, feel free to tap the subscribe button down below. So, we know that Horizon Zero Dawn launches at the end of this month, February 28th. I'm pretty excited, right? I've been watching the videos, reading a little bit here and there. I'm staying away from, when they go too far in depth, because I want to experience this stuff without knowing anything, right? In terms of like the combat system and everything. But just to get an overall feel for the game, I've been watching and reading quite a bit. And it feels like they're selling us on three big points. One of them being, the environment. The fact that it's this beautiful open world environment. Seems like every other shot is panning around to the environment around the main character, Aloy. Another thing that they're really selling is the combat system in this game. It does look unique, and that is something, again, I'm trying to steer away from knowing too much. Again, I want to see and experience this stuff myself. But if you're curious, it's out there. There's tons of info and tons of stuff on the combat and everything that kind of goes along with that. And the third thing that they're pushing is story. They're really pushing the story of Horizon Zero Dawn and the character, the protagonist, Aloy, which is refreshing. I love a good story. It's one of the reasons why Mass Effect is one of my all-time favorite series, why I can't wait for Andromeda. I'm really excited about what's coming with that game, which also launches here pretty soon. But so they're going to sell you on all these points. These are really big points, looks, the environment, combat system, and story. If they nail these three things down, I mean, guys, you're talking about a pretty impressive thing to nail those three things down. So there are some other questions that I had for the game, and one of them being, and there's actually two or three questions. One of them being, they're selling this also, or they're not selling it, but, again, it kind of goes along with that environment setup. It's an open world game. So my question is this going to be, what spectrum are we expecting? So you've got the Metal Gear Solid 5 spectrum, which to me is one of the worst open world games I've ever played, being on the very bottom of that spectrum. And then at the top, a game like Witcher 3. And the reason why I put Metal Gear Solid 5 so far back is the fact that they drop you in the middle of nowhere, and there is not a freaking thing to do in a square mile. And when you finally get to an objective or get to a place where there's people, you do the same freaking thing over and over and over. And it's just not fun. It's not a fun experience. Another really good open world game that I put not too far behind, and in terms of open world, not just as a game, but as an open world game, is a game like Far Cry 3. You had a lot of stuff that you would kind of run into in between your objectives, having to fend off the animals of the island and running into the pirates in random areas. And sometimes you'd get although the side questing on the game wasn't that good, but you still had side questing there. Much better experience than I had with Metal Gear Solid 5. Witcher 3 was random encounters. Or if you went off the main part of the map, you'd run into a whole new area with a whole bunch of side quests. It was such a rewarding experience to go away from the main objective, from the main story, from the main quest line. There was more to do in 50 square feet of around you in Witcher 3 than there was in 5 miles of Metal Gear Solid 5. That's the absolute truth. So I'm wondering, where does Horizon Zero Dawn fall in that category? In the overall spectrum? Is there going to be a lot to do in a square mile? What about the environment? Does it change often when I go away from, again, that main objective, away from the main questing area? Does the environment change? What kind of random encounters can I expect? How about the RPG elements? The talent tree setup. Is it a typical 3-tree, 1-build setup, which I love, by the way? Simple, not too crazy. Like, I thought Witcher 3's talent tree system was a little bit, I don't know the right word or right terminology. I didn't like it. I thought they should have simplified it a little bit. Something like what they do on Diablo 1 and 2. I love that the 3 trees, 1 build, where you have a tank tree, a damage tree, or maybe a heal tree, or whatever, a gathering tree where maybe you're better at gathering parts or whatever. How about questing? Are the side quests going to be, more store building? What kind of purposes and objectives are there going to be on the side quests, which they have. I have read there are going to be side quests. Or they're going to be boring, mundane, and repetitive. Nothing to do with anything, just kind of repetitive, do the same thing over and over, kind of side questing. Crafting, how deep and in depth is it? I know too. You can craft on the go as you're going. You can craft. I think you have to craft like your arrows and things like that. So how in depth is all that stuff? And then also optimization, something I feel like Guerrilla Games has kind of struggled with before in the past. So those are things that I'm really curious about. If they manage to nail even just half these things down, we could be looking at a pretty solid game. And I'm really excited to get my hands on it. I'm going to do some more follow-up content after this video, so look out for those. I thank you guys for watching and checking out the video. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that really cool stuff. And for more Horizon Zero Dawn content, keep it here, guys, on the Tyzilla83 YouTube channel. Until the next video, you guys try like hell to be kind to one another. Peace!